All right, so everybody's talking about ChatGPT. You know, sometimes the show can be summed up in what are we afraid of?
Yeah.
What are we worried about? Got a lot of stuff today we're worried about. And then, these days, a lot of stuff we're angry about. Joining us now is Abraham Doris Down. Abraham Doris Down is a genius, and he is at the Boston Globe. Mm-hmm. What's your fancy title, Abraham?
I am Senior Director of User Experience and Design for Product.
So that means you're the guy in charge of what the website looks like, the architecture of it, that kind of thing?
Yeah, Boston.com and Globe.com and the apps. Yeah, I focus on the digital experience.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is important for a number of reasons. And the Boston Globe, they do a great job, and they're one of the legitimate news sources that are left. So when we think about AI and we talk about things like ChatGPT, one of the things we're worried about, Abraham, is ChatGPT going to replace real reporters? And who's going to be in control of that? And one more level of how do we know what to believe? So make us feel better.
Sure, I'll do my best. First of all, so I'm taking a look at this all the time because it's really my interest started also with how ChatGPT and these new interfaces are going to actually change experiences, just how people interact with websites and things like that. I think on the reporter level, there are two things that are going to happen. One is ChatGPT or the new AI tools and generative AI tools are actually really just going to help reporters do their jobs better. They're really going to allow people to go through large data sets, things that are out there, whether it's information from municipalities or going back through historical records, or even all of a sudden there's a big document dump from a disclosure in a court case. They'll really help reporters go through that, make sense of that, and find connections quicker. I do understand that the big thing that people are concerned about is AI going to start writing stories?
Right.
At the moment, I don't think it's going to do that in any meaningful way. There are some companies out there, one, I think it's called United Robots, that's taking trusted data sets and churning out stories based on like police blotters and, meeting notes from town halls and things like that. Really filling in that gap of local journalism that reporters aren't able to cover at the moment. So it can help in that ways, but I think when we're talking about meaningful stories, it's not quite there yet. Now, I mean, people are using it just to pump out content to put up on websites and stuff and chase ad revenue. But when we're talking about the large established publications like the Boston Globe, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Well, you made me feel better already, because we do have this huge gap in local news coverage and small town news and things of that nature. So if that stuff can be covered appropriately through the appropriate use of this, that's great. Can we count on the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Boston Globe, all of these major news organizations to be self-governing in this the way we have to make sure that we have legitimate reporting out there?
Well, I see speaking personally, I see the rise of generative AI not affecting newsroom missions at all. It may change how news is delivered or how people interact with news. But, Boston Globe's committed to serving the community, committed to truth and transparency. It's the same with the New York Times, Washington Post. And really, these tools are just new ways to do it or new ways to go about it. And it won't change that. I do think it will be more important in generative AI and stuff that we actually protect those reputations even more, and that we're more diligent
100%.
and we're more going it. I do see a world where in the future that people are signing up for sites or subscriptions or access to information from these sites because that we're verifying things, that because generative AI makes it so easy just to put anything out there that you're not necessarily going to know what to trust. And I think a lot of it more and more that these news sites is going to be a place of verification. A place of saying, hey, we went out and revetted this, rechecked this. We know it's not a deep fake. We know it's not, made up news. Mm-hmm. We actually verified that somebody said this. So you can trust this, and you can trust the information that's coming from us.
Let me get Jane and Nick in here. Either one of you jump in.
Yeah, Abraham, hi. I love being able to use a ChatGPT or a Google Bard, because I feel like it gives you a diving board if you're going in a direction or you need some ideas. I would imagine, of course, because of the truth and transparency of your newspaper and all of the newspapers around the country, you have to verify the information that you're getting, and you also want to have original writing and something original. However, I think about this a lot. Let's go years and years and years from now, and we're all still using this AI technology. when it's pulling the information from the different sites and sources that it gets this information, what then is actually going to be true if we all just continue to rewrite what it regurgitates to us?
When the algorithm feeds on itself, yeah, that always happens. Especially that was a big thing, I think, with social media and stuff. When the algorithms start showing you things in Facebook, and then the algorithm reinforces. Right. One is, I think it's we need to remember is that at the moment anyway, human beings do control the writing of these algorithms, and it does seem like OpenAI and Meta and stuff are aware of these things, and they're trying to, I wouldn't say pausing anything, but trying to put that on guardrails. So I think it's good that people are being proactive and recognizing this. I think it's still, a lot of it's going to be interesting coming out, I think, legally with like the copyright law and stuff. There's a good video by the guy Legal Ego who's talking about how new all this is and how we're still trying to navigate that. I do think, once again, that comes back to, and it's, this has always been the case. It's just generative AI has just changed how fast people can do it. But it's always been the case of, can you trust this? Don't believe everything you see on TV. Don't believe everything you see online. This all happened before AI. So it goes back to really making sure that institutions that want to traffic and trust and truth really protect those reputations and do that due diligence themselves and have those transparent, you have a level of transparency with the audience.
Nick.
I just want to ask you this in a nutshell. We were having trouble many years ago now with the Associated Press news minutes, the wires that we get into the newsroom. And I called an editor in New York and said, what is going on here? It was all grammatically incorrect. They had started using an algorithm to pull from a larger story and make these little news minutes, which are generally 3 to 4 sentences long. So I guess my question is, I understand, and as to Steve's point there, that I think this is great. It would help smaller newsrooms cover local stories, right? But at the end of the day, don't you still need a copy editor to look at the copy? Because the AP still doesn't do that, and it's horrible.
Yeah, that's important. I'm a big believer of keeping a human in the loop, making sure that things are getting verified, things are getting checked. Doesn't make sense, still doing the fact checking on the AI and still, reading the language. I will say that I do think that that's one of the big steps now with generative AI that's really blown up since, was it last fall when ChatGPT really went live out to the public, is that it's just getting a lot better at that. It's still prone to what people call like the hallucinations, but the statistical modeling has gotten so good with the language that I think that's going to be less and less issue of it being grammatically correct, which actually is kind of the two-part problem, is that it will look good, it will look right, it's just verifying that it actually is right. And I think that's where one of the things that everybody's trying to navigate right now is that, hey, this output looks amazing, but is any of it in it real?
Well, I mean, a key, too, is to get out of your comfort zone with stuff that you go, yep, I believe that, so therefore I'm not going to look at anything else. And that's the beauty of great news organizations, is they're going to give you both sides, and they're going to give you stuff that makes you uncomfortable. It's not a perfect world, kids, and it gets reinvented every minute of every day.
Yep.
But, Abraham, we appreciate the expertise. We hope you'll come back and teach us some more. Is there a place you'd send people to learn more about this stuff?
Sure. I would say right now, it's newsletters. This is really a field that's moving very fast. So there are a couple of AI newsletters that I stay on top of, ones like Axios AI. There's also the Rundown AI Breakfast. And then, of course, publications. The Globe has some great articles on AI and generative AI, and then also like publications like the Washington Post.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on. There you go. That's Abraham Doris down at the Boston Globe.
He's too smart.
He is too smart. It's 8:16. But, he'll realize that and never come on again.